got to be able to do it.
With the heavy
Great thing about rivalries is you get another shot next year. It's a whole year away, but you get another shot. But it's been tough to lose those real close ones, especially this one when, again, I thought we did everything but win the game.
With the heavy success, especially in the second half in the ground game, was there any notion to get more involved with the play action, or it just seemed like there weren't very many passing attempts, so what went into that?
Well, I don't know if we necessarily needed it. The greatest running back, I think, possibly arguably in Minnesota history is in the backfield. Why wouldn't you give him to him 39 times? And he went right down the field, 97 yards. And I thought when we did throw it, we were very effective. If you look at Ethan's statistics, take out the last 3 or 4 throws of the game, right? I thought he was very efficient. It's actually a pretty good throw. The one he throws, just it's a little off mark. Get a little contact there, ball goes in the air, and it happens to be, tipped into their hands. It's a 3rd and 7. We're out of field goal range right there. So if we don't get the first down there, we're going to punt anyway and pin them down in there. We had just come off the fumble, just got the ball back, dropped an interception, just came back. But listen, the last, when you look at our running game, the last 2 years, we've been pretty good at it. And we've been able to, our starting number 1 receiver has been out the last 2 years. So when that happens, you got really good tailbacks and really good people to hand the ball off to. Why wouldn't you do it? I mean, Muhammad had, 265 yards or something like that. That's the most single running back individual performance against Iowa since 1994. And I would have given to him 45 more times. There was more time. It's just he's one of the greatest, and he can handle all that. And but that didn't. I thought, again, when you looked at how we executed it, if coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean, I thought giving ourselves the best opportunity to win the football game, if we won it, you wouldn't have asked that question, because it was set up perfectly to win the football game, and we just didn't do that.
Was there consideration to go to Mo on that 3rd and 7, possibly going for it on 4th if you didn't get it?
Well, I think that was a tall task to ask, because you're going to have to get the first down just to get into field goal range in the situation and the weather that was playing. And then especially already going 1 of 2 in the field goal department, and then giving them the ball, not towards midfield, but around the 37-yard line. But no, I mean, it was a really good call. Just if we catch it, and the ball's put, a foot more in, and we actually make that play, which we're capable of making, then it's a different story. But I think they're in man coverage. They knew that was coming. It was more like a 4 clam where they came down and had a lot of people in the box. So it's a version of man, but puts another hat in the box, which would have been tough to get that 7 on that. So, but like you said, I mean, got to do everything you possibly can to get that first down. That's a critical piece of the game. But if you go back, again, dropped interception, fumble before that, we're not even talking about that play.
I know you try to avoid the big picture of the Iowa loss, and not just this year, the last couple of years, being so close. Has that hurt any more considering the opportunity you had in the West Division?
Well, I think, look at the West. I mean, everybody's had a chance at the West. It's not just us. Every single team has had a chance to win the West at some point outright and run away with it. And that's what makes the West so competitive. The parity is pretty close amongst every team in that division. I mean, Northwestern's got a chance to win the game last week. I mean, the parity is incredible. There are some things that we look back, and you're always going to circle 1 or 2 plays. But, none of us wanted it to happen, the way it happened. But it happened, and you need to be grateful for it. If you're grateful for your life, you don't get to pick and choose what you're grateful for. You're either grateful for your life or not. Whether it comes from the tragedy or the suffering, you have to be grateful for those things. And that's what's so hard, because we get way down on the loss. We get way up with the win, and that's part of your job and your role. But when you're grateful for your life and you're grateful for your team and you're grateful for your players, I mean, you need to be grateful for the suffering as well. You need to be grateful for the things and the lessons that's going to teach you. I'm not saying we're happy we lost, but there are so many lessons that come out of that. I mean, there was one person in that hall that said, "Give me the ball." And that was Muhammad, and we gave him the ball. He's fumbled 4 times in 800 carries, everybody. I mean, it's not his fault. No one play loses you the game. We had plenty of opportunities, right? We had a missed field goal in there, But Andy asked a question, and I apologize for Andy. I didn't understand your question at the time. There was a lot of plays going on. I'm not sure which one you were talking about. But even the 3rd and 1 prior to going into halftime, everybody in the stadium knew we were going to run that football. We run it naked. We got 2 people wide open. We got a touchdown. And that's why we called it, to go get a touchdown. Unfortunately, we weren't able to execute. Then the next play, because we weren't able to execute it, we needed points. And I don't go into something saying, I don't think we're going to get it. No, you don't go into that. I wouldn't send the field goal unit out if I didn't think that. We happened to miss that, down 10-7, come out the next time. We had to get points on that opening drive. You know how important that is to me. We did get points on that opening drive. It's 10-10, basically 0-0. Here we go. Our defense was playing so well after the first 10 points given up. And we did all throughout the game. Then there's 2 massive drives. We have critical opportunities and great opportunities to score, and we did not do that. But that's what happens in rivalry games. You got to give them a lot of credit. They're a really good football team. 31, he's an All-American for a reason, and he made 2 All-American plays.
Evaluating the program as a whole, the running offense and the defense look in great shape, but other than just executing, do you think there's a philosophical change needed with the passing game?
No, we just have to do it better. I mean, philosophical differences, same offense as 2019 with 2 all first-team All Big Ten wide receivers. It's just when we have somebody that special in the backfield, then it works for us. And our number 1 receiver's out. I think 2019 pass game would look different if Rashad Bateman wasn't in there or Tyler Johnson wasn't in there. In fact, we had 2 guys that were in there, both not in there. So when you have your number 1 receiver out, which has been unfortunate the last 2 years, that plays a role in it. It does. It plays a role in the back of your mind of what you're going to do to go win games. Because every single game that you go into for 3 hours, what's going to be our best opportunity to win the football game? What gives us the best chance to go win football games? And popular or unpopular, we know those decisions inside our program. Doesn't mean we don't have faith in our pass game. But when we have opportunities to throw them, we're either going to connect or not connect. I mean, we had some opportunities that we were able to connect in the pass game on Saturday. And some, I wish we would have been able to see it better and connect on it because it was there. But that comes down to us teaching and coaching it better and getting our guys to that level where they can make the plays. I couldn't be more proud of our players. Couldn't be more proud of how hard they play. I told them that in the locker room. There's nothing to be ashamed of how hard we played, that we just haven't had it bounce our way in a few games against Iowa. That's hard. That's hard because they've been incredibly close, and it's been one play here or there that have changed the tide of that rivalry. And unfortunately, we've been on the short end of the stick here or there. But all changeable, all fixable, and couldn't be more proud of our players of the fight and the heart and the determination and the resolve they showed throughout that entire game. They left it all out there. And that's all I can ask as a coach. And then you play the chances and give the ball to your best players.
Is it tougher to hit that reset button on Sunday when you have such a close game and you had so many chances, or is it easier when you have such another big rivalry game?
They're all hard. They're all hard. When you lose, they're all hard. They all matter. You only get 12 of them guaranteed, so they all matter. I think, when you're talking rivalry games, if the pain's at a 99 usually, maybe it's at 99.5 or 100, But other than that, it's 1-0. And we came in on Sunday and came in yesterday, and our guys were incredibly focused, ready to roll for one of the greatest rivalries in all college football. So that's a great thing about playing at Minnesota. You have a lot of them, and you have a lot of opportunities to play in those games and take a lot of pride in it. And that's why it's a rivalry. It comes down to that last possession like that or that fourth quarter. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, it's football, though. The ball is not round. I think Ole Miss had 700 yards of offense and loss last week. 460 yards rushing, two backs over 200 yards. I mean, you saw the Bills-Vikings game. It's football, and you saw yesterday's game. It's football's unique. It's definitely a different sport, but couldn't be more proud of our players. I will say that.
Yeah, Mo seemed like he was taking the loss pretty hard after the game, and understandably. I guess what were your conversations with him like afterward?
I just told him how proud of him I am, how much he's done for this program. Don't you ever be ashamed, and don't you let anybody else tell you should be ashamed of anything. That guy's fumbled 4 out of 800 carries. He's arguably the greatest running back here and one of the greatest backs ever to play this game. Don't you ever be ashamed of one play. And that I was told a long time ago, one play does not lose you a game. And that is true. Now, one play can win you a game, but one play cannot cost you a game. There's too many of them. But that's all I kept telling him. And that's what I told him yesterday. But he gets it. And, that's what I said about the gratitude. When you're a big-time player, that's what it's all about. And how many plays has he made where he's made the game-winning play, game-winning touchdown, game-winning decision, game-winning slide, all those things. And we still had chances after that. And he wanted to, like I said, there was one guy in the huddle saying, "Give me the ball," and we were going to listen to him. So, and that's what we continued to do. And he's so tough. Just how much I loved him and how much he's done for this program, and he bounced back pretty quickly. So, you know, he's becoming an elite man. He knows how to, and that's the whole part about that gratefulness. That's what I told him too. When you're grateful for the entire thing. You're not just grateful for the proud moments. You're grateful for the adversity, and this is going to teach him an awful lot.
How good, PJ, did you feel the offensive line played against obviously everybody knows a great Iowa defense, and they knew you were going to run the ball?
Well, we did everything we could to win the football game. If you would have told me we were going to rush for close to 300 yards, I would tell you we're going to win the football game because, you know, first of all, we had no penalties. There wasn't one penalty in that game. There wasn't one penalty thrown. There wasn't one penalty picked up. That is football. I mean, that's Big Ten football. I don't know if that's happened since, I don't know, somebody told me 1986. We couldn't find it in Minnesota history. Zero penalties, right? We're talking about a tough, disciplined rivalry game. And up front, that's where it started on both sides. I thought they played really hard, played strong, played physical, set the tone. And like I said, I thought we beat them in almost every single area except on the scoreboard. But that's what counts at the end of the day. They found a way at the very end to take advantage of one of our mistakes. And I said this at the beginning of the week. I said, whoever makes the first catastrophic mistake is probably going to lose that game. That's what happens. But we've built something that we've caught them. And I feel like we've caught up to them in a lot of areas and closed the gap in a lot of areas. Now we just got to do it on the scoreboard. But they deserve a ton of credit because they're the ones that can finish it. So, but really proud of our offensive line. Really proud of them. And I think they're playing really well, playing lower, gelling together. Coach Callahan's done a really good job with them. I mean, I'm not sure how many yards they've had an average against them, but it wasn't 280 yards rushing or whatever it was. It wasn't that. So.
What stands out about Wisconsin since Jen Leonard's taken over?
Yeah, I mean, we're still watching all the film as we speak right now, but you know, I don't know if it's necessarily just Jim taking over. I mean, it's a typical Wisconsin team. They're going to run the football. They got wideouts that can really catch it and run. Drop back game, they're doing a little bit more of it than they have in the past. You know, they've got some linemen rotating in and out. Defensively, when you look at them, I mean, they've got really good linebackers that can move laterally really well, tackle well. And then up front, I mean, they've got some massive guys, and they play the edges really well, really athletic defensive ends. And I think the word athleticism comes to mind. They're just really athletic at every position. And whether they're 325 pounds or whether they're 180 pounds, the whole team's athletic. And sometimes they're really big, strong, physical, and they still are that, but very athletic across the board on both sides of the ball and special teams.
One or two more for Coach. Andy, go ahead.
PJ, when you look at pressures, it seemed like it was on the uptick, and then Iowa, I think it was maybe half a dozen and a sack. How did you feel like defensive pressure was?
I thought we did a really good job of take the first drive out, right? Take that first screen out, okay? Because they get us on a screen, they get us on a tight end seam, they get us on a fourth down conversion where two of our guys run into each other. We drop an interception, but other than that, I mean, I thought we played really good defense. I mean, we stopped the run, and that was the whole point. Against Iowa, we have to be able to stop the run. Keep everything in front of you, which I thought we did in the past game besides 2 plays. So I thought we played really outstanding defense and played good enough to win. But again, they played really good defense too. Those are 2 really good defensive football teams. But again, it comes down to the catastrophic mistakes. And it could be the dropped interception. It could be the fumble. It could be the interception. You can pull from both sides of that. It could be the fourth down play. Makes a difference. But they had their fair share too. But I think that one thing they do is they throw in rhythm really well, and it's hard to get to Petrus. It's hard to get to him. I think teams have had a hard time getting him on the ground. And if they have, they've had to blitz 5 or 6 people to get to him because they're such a rhythmic offense, getting the ball out, shorter passes, everything else down the field set up through play action, gives them a little extra time. But I thought we did a good job of closing the pocket. You know, he didn't get out of the pocket an awful lot. There were some ill-advised throws, you know, because of the pressure, because of hands in the face. But I thought they did a really good job of what we expected them to do.
Update, Coach, on availability among starters as far as injuries, health?
No. Sorry, I don't.
About this rivalry game with Wisconsin compared to the one you just played in?
Well, I think they're both incredibly important to our fan base, our states, our border states. I mean, those truly matter. That's why you come play at those schools for those types of rivalries. It's the oldest. I think that's something that that's 131 years before you. It's going to be hundreds of years after you, and you just get to be this small speck of time, and you've got your opportunity. And I think that's what makes college football so unique. You go through the whole list of rivalries this week, and it's fun to listen to the history of it and read the history of all of them, whether it's the Egg Bowl or whether it's our game, whether it's the game with Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State. You can go on and on about all the rivalries that are happening this week. It's really exciting. That's what makes college football very different and very unique. We're just grateful to be a small part of it. And, I know our guys are bounced back yesterday really well and are excited to play in the game, which I'm sure the Badgers are too.
Go ahead, Andy.
There were 23 points scored on one end of the field and none on the other. How much was a factor of the wind on Saturday?
Well, I think it calmed down in the second half, and according to the data, it was calming down in the second half, which was good for how we needed to be able to go out there and execute it. But I think early in the game, I think it was definitely a difference. You even look at Trickett's kick to start. I mean, it's in there, and then whoosh, there's a gust of wind that takes it, and it's just part of our stadium. And sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. It can fool you in different ways. But, I think it limited both teams field position-wise. Punting was a big piece of that. You saw when the ball hit, though, and the ball was so hard. The ball didn't roll a lot. But, again, we both have to play in it. And it's November football in the Midwest. It's November football in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. I mean, that's why you come here to play. I mean, you get those types of cold weather games.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Road Boat Sky Mago Gophers. Thanks.